to OCupid hotline. Please leave your message after the beep.
Hi, this is Elaine.
And Robert.
And this is our personal experience on relationships.
Hello, Miss Elaine.
Hi, Robert.
How do you do?
I am doing well today.
Oh, I'm glad you're doing well. And I'm doing... you didn't even ask me.
I'm sorry. How are you?
Oh, how rude. How rude.
I'm sorry, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm actually doing a lot better now that we have a friend and our guest here, Cindy Aguilar.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
How are you doing? I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking, Elaine.
How are you guys? We are... Well, I'm good. I don't know about Miss Elaine right now.
I just said I was good.
I hope so. I hope so. And
hey, man. Happy life. You know what they say.
Oh, yeah. Happy wife, happy life.
Amen.
And for our listeners out there, our friend Cindy Aguilar, she's how do you call her? A food blogger.
I am a foodie blogger.
Foodie blogger. There you go. I like that terms. I always struggle with the word food.
Comida blogger. Comida blogger. I'm a start
Comida blogger. I like that. Why not? Spanglish.
And can you tell us your Instagram handle for everyone?
Sure. It is. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok, predominantly on Instagram. I also have my family Facebook that I communicate with my family on there. But my Instagram handle is Cali Girl Eats, and that's spelled Cali like California, and then _ Girl Eats. So it'll be in the bio, and we'll put that up in there. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. Man, you should have done the introduction better than I do. I get stuck a lot, but Miss Elaine makes fun of my accent. That's why I get stuck every once in a while.
Your accent is beautiful. It defines who we are. We came from accents. All of us did.
Oh,
so
that's a fact. Thank you so much. See, I'm blushing already.
Cindy will be sharing her story with us on domestic violence, because she's a domestic violence survivor. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing your story with us. I know it's very hard.
Also, we have a very special episode today.
Yes.
I appreciate it. So thank you, both of you.
All right, Cindy. So just a couple of questions, just to break a little bit of the tension. Can you tell us one thing you feel that you have accomplished?
Oh, that's easy. So I've been a single mom since my daughter was 10, and she is the light of my life. She motivates me. She challenges me. She's 18. And she has the drive like no other. My father raised us to be strong women, all of my brothers and sisters. My father raised my brother to be a strong man. But my daughter is one of the strongest people that I know. She's maintained a 3.6, 3.8 throughout her high school career. She's gotten awards from the president, and I mean Obama, who's our president.
Yep.
And I was very blessed with being her mom. God picked her for me, and he picked me to be her mom. And throughout her life, she's gotten presidential awards, and she's gotten an award most recently from MIT, which was for her doing it's called e-waste, which is like electronical waste. It was a video game she created along with two of her coworkers, but I say students, but hey, coworkers, right? That's what we're raising them to be, is to be strong women, businesswomen, you know? My daughter wants to be a nurse, and I'm so proud of her, because here we are during our lifetime, this pandemic no one has ever gone through. And honestly, I have to say, being the Mexican mom that I am, Japanese mom, I try to convince her to pick another career. And she looked at me dead center. She said, "No, Mom, this is what I've been born to do." And so as a woman of faith, as a Christian, as a Catholic, my daughter, when she made her confirmation, she happened to pick Saint Raphael, who is the healer. And what better choice to pick on her own, not by her mother's influence, but on her own, than Saint Raphael, which is the healer. And she wants to be a nurse in the NICU, which is for babies. And babies are born innocent. You know, they're born with just such a beautiful light. And I'm really honored and proud of my daughter for picking that. And she says she wants to go on to be a physician assistant. So it's the level right below the doctor, that if the doctor is busy, the physician assistant, step in and write prescriptions and pretty much do everything the doctor does. And I know my daughter's going to fulfill her dreams. And that is the most number one important role that I've had on this earth. And I'm so proud of her because of it.
And it sounds like you've done an excellent job.
Thank you.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Oh, we have a proud mama here. I love it.
I am a proud mama bear. I'm a tiger mom. I don't know what they call those Asian moms. Tiger mom. I'm actually a tiger and a lion, because my spirit animal is what they call a liger, kind of like Napoleon Dynamite, which is funny, but it really is. It's a huge lion with tiger stripes, and that's what my spirit animal is. So I'll take that role because I've had to be mom and dad for my daughter, and it's not a role that I wanted. It's not a role that I signed up for by any means. When I married him, I married for the long haul because I know what it is to stand before God and to give the blessing and ask for the blessing in front of your family and your friends. Unfortunately, you can't make someone love you. So you can't make someone want to work. You can't make someone have the work ethic that you were given. You can't make someone want to be a father. You can't make them do anything. You got to just be. Now, he wasn't always that way. So we'll get into those questions.
Yeah, but you are an awesome mom. You brought up an awesome daughter. Look everything she has accomplished. And those are no little accomplishments.
Oh no, let me tell you, in 8th grade, she walked onto that cheer field and she said, "Mom, I'm going to be a cheerleader." And I had her in gymnastics. I had her in tap. She did a little ballet. But I had her in different things growing up. And she walked on that field coming off of, Monterey Park cheer, coming off of the local park. She was in a drill team. And she said, "Mom, Coach Rayanne believes in me. She thinks I could do it." And I said, "Well, then go do it, baby. Go bring it." And she said, "You think I could do it?" I said, "I know you can, because you know what? I was a cheerleader in Pop Warner, and I was only a cheerleader in Pop Warner for a smidge because my dad got diagnosed with cancer. So I had to stop. But that was so fun. And it was such a great time because it really gave you that confidence, and it teaches you how to be spirited and how to be shiny, how to put on a face and go out there and do your thing.
Build that confidence.
Build up your confidence and work with a team. And it's not just one person. It's a team of girls and guys that have to go out there and perform and really rally up the crowd and motivate, the football players. And it's a great accomplishment. And I loved it when I did it. It was a very short-lived dream, but it was a dream no other. And when I told my daughter what I loved about cheer, and explained to her when I was young and I was on a team at West Covina, it was the Bruins, and it was in a local park, and I loved it. And my big sister, Kathy, got me on it, and she paid for the fees because, raising 6 kids, my father was trying to make everything spread, and, we're already adding some water to the soup. So my big sister, Kathy, she blessed me with sending me to cheer, and my brother was in Pop Warner, and we played, and it was so much fun. But when my daughter decided to do cheer, she was in 8th grade, and she said, "I'm going to go for it." And I said, "Go for it, baby." So I drove her, and it was so funny because it was a hot summer, and I didn't have the money to fix my air conditioning at the time. So there we are with all 4 windows rolled down. We're sweating bullets. It was like 98. It felt like 102 in the car, but I'm like, we got this, baby. So we roll up. I gave her bottled water. I sprayed her with my spray that I always carry, make her smell fresh. And she gets out of the car. She's like, "Okay, Mom, I'm going to go. Wish me luck." I said, "Good luck, baby. But you don't need luck. You need skill. So good skill." And she went to the field, and she was there for like a good 20, 30 minutes. And then I see them making them do their little, performances and whatnot. And then all of a sudden the coach tells her, "Go ahead and run around." So they're making all these girls run. And there's my daughter. She's like just running. And I'm looking at her. And so finally they call them in, and they start handing them their letters. And so I'm thinking like, okay, this must be the dismissal letter, the Dear John letter, the thank you, but no thank you letter. And I'm like, my heart is pounding, I'm just like getting so nervous for my baby. And, part of me, is getting a little nervous because I know that this is my daughter. And, you know, there's nothing that I would not deny my daughter. I mean, I would move heaven and earth for her because I love her so much. And so as I'm waiting patiently to see her, she starts walking over towards me, and she has her backpack on and her head is down, and she's walking very somberly towards me. And my heart is like, ba-boom, 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 you know. I'm like, okay, be strong, hold back those tears. You got to be mom right now. You cannot be crying. You know, you got to be strong for her. So she walks over to me and she says, Mom, she says, hey, I'm done. We can leave now. She said, I'm kind of hungry. Can we get something to eat? I said, sure, baby, we could get something to eat. I said, is everything okay? She goes, yeah, Mom. She goes, here. She hands me the paper and I get it from her. And then I look at it and it says, congratulations, you are now.
She played you.
Totally punked me, man. And I was like, oh, hell no, you totally punked me, fool. And I come jumping out of the car, and her and I are like jumping up and down. And she's like, I made it, Mom. I made it. I'm on varsity cheer. And
nice.
I said, yeah, baby, you are. You are the varsity cheer, girl. And we were just like screaming like crazy. Like we were so happy. It was such a joyful time, and just such a, you know, moment. It was such a pinnacle because she had just come off of, you know, kind of like at that age when you're going through adolescence where you don't feel good enough. You don't feel accepted. You wonder, you know, why am I so tall? Why am I so awkward? And what it is that God bless her with being tall. You know, she's 5'8" right now. She's going on 5'9", and you put on some heels, she looks like a damn supermodel. Okay. And I said, what it is, baby, you got girls that are looking at you because you're so tall and you look like a gazelle, and then eventually going to turn into a swan. So right now you just be you and be thankful for who you are. You got your health. And as time goes on, you're going to come into this beautiful woman, and it's a beautiful thing. And she's like, okay, Mom, okay. You know, she gets very embarrassed. Even to this day, she gets very shy and awkward about it.
Well, it's Mama Bear being proud.
Exactly.
There's
and I tell her,
like,
you have to own your femininity, and you gotta own it, and you gotta appreciate it, and you gotta act like a lady, you know? And my mother has always raised me to handle things with dignity and grace, and even in adversity. You know, even when I saw my mother for years take care of my father, he was bedridden. My mother did it with dignity and grace, and she did it with a smile on her face. And she worked so hard to raise my brother and I, my sisters. And by then my sisters were married, but it was me and my brother that were still at home, you know, in college and working. And my mother never cried. I never saw her upset. I always saw her with a smile on her face, and she just held it together with such dignity and grace. And if I could be half of the woman that she is, you know, I know I would be successful like her.
And it sounds like you have already accomplished that.
Oh, thank you. That really means a lot.
The next question is, if you were to write a bucket list, what would be the first thing you will write? And this is for yourself.
I'm a firm believer in traveling. My dad blessed me with a trip to Mexico. And when my brother and I were young with my mom, we went to go to my father's hometown, which is San Cristóbal de las Casas. And he is from Chiapas. And my father wanted to learn about our lineage and where we came from. And it was a beautiful experience. I remember it so fondly. And that's why I love my Mexican culture so much, because you know, it's really who we are and how we are as people. And that's what makes me so proud, because it makes me realize the queen that I am and the princess that she is, you know. We actually, our last name Aguilar came from a prince, and he owned many, many homes and pandarias, canestarias, everything with the ias, you know, the zapateria. He owned many, many businesses in this town. And I remember asking the tour guide, why does every building have Aguilar, which is my last name? And he says, because you're a descendant of this king. And at 12 years old, being told that your ancestors were kings and queens, it was a remarkable thing, because it really gave me a boost of confidence that I was lacking in that moment. And it made me realize how proud I needed to be of my culture. Now, my Japanese side of the culture, I have to be honest. My mom, she was raised in East LA. Actually, let me take that back. forgive me, all you East LAers, she was raised in Boyle Heights, okay? My mom is straight up Boyle Heights, you know, off of Eagle Street, down the street, you know, from the hood of Roosevelt High School. She's a Rough Rider. Hey, what's up? She's a Rough Rider. And my mom is the baddest Chingona I know. She has raised me to be that, you know. And one thing that she did not teach us, because my mother loves Mexican food. If anybody knows my mom, she's there with her salsa on the weekend. She's putting her beans on with her jalapeno. And like my mom, she just loves Mexican food. And hello, she loved my dad. He was Mexican. And everything about the Mexican culture, my mom just embraced and loved. And what she taught us about our Japanese culture was very small, Mom, very small, because we would go to Tokyo Lobby in City of Industry and we grabbed down on one of those boats. And I was like, okay, other than that, and my Hello Kitty shopping at, you know, Santa Anita Mall or Puente Hills, that was about it. So, you know, my mom didn't really embrace the Japanese culture when it came to cooking, when it came to the morality, when it came to the embrace of having a little shrine or the Buddhist shrine in our home. She had that. She did teach us about compassion. She taught us about all those wonderful things the culture has. I would love to go to Japan one day, but moreover, I would say that our culture was a lot Hawaiian, because my mom was blessed with my grandmother. She went to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And I was always raised with my mother talking about Hawaii to us and how her and Joni, my auntie Joni, went. And it just sounded so magical to me. And so really, if I had one wish, it would be to go to Hawaii. Like, I don't know who or when or where, but like,
I mean, it's a bucket list. I mean, you could write your bucket list and make it come true.
Telling you. Well, my bucket list, my wish list and my manifestation wish, I would say, would be to go to Hawaii. I don't know if you guys like The Rock, but I'm a fan of The Rock. And like recently he posted the picture of him and his wife getting married there. And it was so beautiful. And it was so simple. It was like, they just had like, you know, this little wooden awning. I don't know what to call it. I know there's a term for it, but I don't remember the name. But they had this little wooden awning with like sheer, you know, like silk material, I guess, blowing in the wind. And he had like a lei on and he was wearing all white. And of course she was wearing all white, but they got married there. And I was like, I want to get married there. I don't know who, I don't know what, I don't know when.
We would love to go to Hawaii. I mean, that would be one of the places we would like to go to.
I mean, and like the Polynesian side of it and like the dancing part of it and like the, you know, twirling fire and like eating a huge pig, you know, and like having like the I don't know, just like the fruit, the mangoes, the sushi, the spam musubis, like all of that sounds amazing.
We got the fire in us. So Hispanic have the same fire in us. So
totally.
We
that's
the dances
thing,
and stuff
we
like that.
Recognize that culture, right?
Yeah,
like it's very symbolic to our culture because theirs is very indigenous as well as ours, and I think that's what it is. And what I love about it is that it's very family oriented, you know, and it's kind of like, God, maybe I should have had more kids, but I mean, that wasn't in the cards. You know, I unfortunately, I did have a miscarriage when I was with her dad. And that wasn't able to come to fruition, unfortunately. But, you know, I wish I had more kids because it's like, it'd be cool to play in the beach and do mom things, you know, so. Yeah. All my nieces and nephews are too old now. They're already in college and, so you know, starting their families.
If you don't mind, let's use that as a segue
to get a little bit into
sure.
You know, so
the question.
Yeah, so a little bit of a background of how was your relationship with your ex-husband? Like, so how do you guys met?
So him and I met actually online.
Okay.
This was back when AOL was there.
You got mail era.
Yeah, you got mail. And actually, I had just got a computer. My cousin Monica, my Japanese side family, and her boyfriend at the time, his name was Billy. He's her husband now. My cousin helped me get a computer because I was going to school at the college. And she told me, she's like, you could do a lot more instead of having a word processor on a computer. So I was like, okay, let's go get one. So she helped me set it up, and Billy helped me plug it in. And I started, doing all my schoolwork on my computer. And AOL was like kind of the thing. It was starting up. So it was kind of like how TikTok is now.
You couldn't help yourself. You start chatting. You go into those.
Exactly. Well, what happened was that's the thing is I saw a chat room. I am the one that went in it. I was being a bad girl. And I saw it said, what was interesting, it said Alhambra / and that said East LA. And I thought, oh, okay, that's in our area. So I'm meeting people in our area that you could potentially become friends with. And because I had moved to my grandmother's house, I didn't really know anybody in the neighborhood. I was trying to make friends. I was trying to venture out, because I have my friends from West Covina, and I have certainly my friends from Chino Hills, because those are my friends I grew up with, from birth to 8th grade, and then in Chino Hills from 8th grade to high school. So here I was, my first or second year in college, and I'm like, I want to get to know people because I'm kind of a loner. Like, I'm kind of a homebody, and like my girlfriends and all my friends that I have, they're all from elementary school, and it's weird because like sometimes people are like, you're still friends with your elementary school? I'm like, your friends, from elementary school? And I'm like, yeah, I still speak to Mrs. Jaggard. Like, don't you talk to all your friends from like it's cool because I've kept in contact with, friends like my best friend Yvonne since kindergarten, Ember and Ginger, and the list goes on and on. Monica,
you chatted with them in the same chat rooms where you met your.
No,
you got like your own thing going on.
With her father, it was really weird because like I went in the chat room and it was just him and I. And I was like, what is this? Yeah, I was like, what is this East LA, Monterey Park chat room? And it's only you, like, what's up? And he's like, oh, I just created it. I'm the only one in here right now because I just created it. And I said, oh, okay, well, where are you from? And he said, I'm from El Sereno. And I said, well, what do you look like? Because there's no picture. It was just words, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, my profile has my picture. And it did. His picture wasn't anything. It was just like a blank screen. So it's kind of weird. So then he said, oh, like I'm at X amount of like age. I live in El Sereno. I used to go to PCC. I work. And he was trying to impress me because he's like, I used to work for Kiss FM. And then I went to go work at Power 106. And recently I've been at K-Rock. And I was like, oh, like, that's impressive. Like you've had good jobs.
So that's one of the things like kind of like attract you to him. Like,
oh, totally.
That kept the conversation going.
Absolutely. It had to keep my interest because like, I'm definitely like a thinker. I'm in my head a lot and I'm in my head a lot and I'm always thinking about the future and like, what do I want? And like, I try to stay present, but I'm also like, what's the future going to be? Like what's to come? And, I think everybody kind of is like, I don't think that I'm like depressed and thinking about the past all the time, but I definitely think about like where I'm at now and then where I'm going. And so for me with her father, one of the things that impressed me was that he was very ambitious and I was very driven because at the time I was working in fragrances. I was working for, some of the top Fortune 500 companies that are on the New York Stock Exchange. I worked for LVMH, Louis Vuitton, and Moët Hennessy. I was with Givenchy. I was with Liz Claiborne. I mean, the list goes on. And I had some great friends that were also working with them. So like-minded people want to work with like-minded people. And, I wasn't looking to settle. I wasn't looking to have stagnant.
Sorry, like how many conversations before you guys actually met?
Oh, we probably talked for like 2 months, 2 or 3 months in that chat room. And then we finally agreed, like, let's meet.
Okay.
And we actually, I don't know if you remember, but on Atlantic and Main Street, there's that old theater in Alhambra. Well, they tore that down and now they have the new Edwards. But before it was there. And we had agreed to meet there because I always was like, no, I got to meet somewhere public. Like, I don't know if you're a freaking weirdo.
Yeah. Of course. Especially if you meet someone like off the internet.
Instagram. I mean, like you get crazy things in your DM and what you got to be safe. Right. And and women do it too. I mean, hell, I've been known to do some crazy things in my past. We will not talk about here. However,
that'll be another episode.
I'm not looking to put that out there, shoot. But the point is that, there's things that you do in moments where you feel compelled to do things. My point being is that with her dad, him and I met, we went to the movies. We were at a local place, and we had agreed we'll meet there. It didn't necessarily mean we were going to see a movie. So once I met him and kind of sized him up and he sized me up, I could tell he was into me right away. And to be honest, I was into him. He was a very good looking, handsome man. And, his work and where he worked and what he was doing and what he wanted to do, I felt spoke to me at that time because I saw him as being very ambitious, and I was impressed with who he had worked with. And just like me, with the various companies I had worked at, he was impressed with me. So I think at the time it was a good match. It was with the right intent.
All right. So just to fast forward a little bit. So you guys eventually got into a relationship, right? Yep. How was it?
We dated for 3 years. And we did the whole romantic thing. We went on vacation. He took me to San Diego. We went to Santa Barbara. We, drove out to visit my mom. We went to go visit his family. He invited me to his tias for Thanksgiving. Like, we did all of the wonderful things that a normal couple does. One of the things that I knew was an indicator that he really liked me and that I was someone special was that he invited me to his family's house for Thanksgiving dinner. And I was so nervous. I remember buying a Ralph Lauren cashmere sweater. It was pink. And I remember wearing cute jeans with them and trying to be casual, but still cute, And it was nice. Like, I met all of his aunts. I met all of his cousins.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that. How long into the relationship you got to meet all of his family members?
We were dating for about 3 months online, and then we dated and went on a date. And then we probably dated for about another maybe 3 months.
And that's like dating, going out.
So like 6 months total. Yeah. Because like 3 months online and then 3 months actually dating as couples. So by the time 6 months rolled around, that was around Thanksgiving. So he invited me to his family for Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, so that was the first time you met his family.
Well, I met his extended family. I met his aunts, all his tias, and I met his uncles, and then I met his mom.
Okay.
And I think that was the first red flag right there, is when I met his mom. But love is blind. And
can you tell us a little bit, why was that a red flag?
Well, because I was sitting at a table and we were all in the backyard. And just like when you have a backyard party where lights are on and music's playing and the dogs and kids are running around and everything's very joyful and the drinks are flowing and, people are passing out, slices of pie and various Thanksgiving things. I met her and I was so happy to meet her. I really wanted her to like me. My mother and father always raised us with the best manners of yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, may I, no elbows on the table, don't chew with your mouth full. When I met her, it was in the hallway of the restroom because I excused myself and I asked one of his aunts if I could use the restroom. And I remember using the restroom. I come out of the restroom, excuse me, and I see his mom standing there and she's talking to her son. And I hear the tail end of it. And the tail end of the conversation went, sí, pero la cuerpo. And I heard it because I heard what she said. But what I really heard is what I kept here, because it's like your insecurity. The insecurity that you have of yourself, And what I heard the woman say is, in Spanish, she said, la niña es muy bonita, pero la cuerpo. And she looked at him in disgust. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I looked at her and I said, "Perdón, señora." And she looked at me in shock because she's like, holy shit.
She wasn't expecting you to be there. Oh.
Yeah, she wasn't expecting me to hear it and to know what she was saying. And so
in other words, she was body shaming you, pretty much.
Totally body shaming me.
And do you hear do you hear any like him defending you or saying, no, mom, but I love her?
No, he immediately defended me to her. Mm-hmm. He immediately said to his mom for her to be quiet. He said it in a different way, but I'll just say it that way. He said for his mom to be quiet. And then he said, "Mom, you don't know her the way that I know her, mm-hmm. that she's a good person and she has a good heart, and that I love her and that she loves me." And see, she didn't know this because we were dating for about 6 months. And we had already kind of talked about, well, if we were to have a family and how would that be and what religion would we be? And because to me, like, God is the most important thing that you put before any relationship. And so you have to have that first, otherwise it's not going to work. And so like the fact that we were already talking at that level. And then when I heard his mom say what she said, it was heartbreaking to me because I wanted her approval. I wanted her respect. I wanted her to love me. And I wanted to love her too, you know? And I was raised that way. Like my mother, the way that I see my mother with her, you know, I guess it's not stepson, it's called son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws. My mother was always very loving like that. Like I see my sister-in-law will call my mom, and when I call my mother's like, "Oh, Lorena just called," or, you know, so I was under the impression that all mothers are that way, you know, and all relationships should be that way. Because when you come from that good family or relationship, you think that that's the way it should be. I was mistaken. I was rudely mistaken. And I was taught otherwise by her actions, because when she said, "Oh, she has such a beautiful face, but look at her body," I was like, "Excuse me? Like, how dare you? Like, I could sit there and pick apart yourself. Like, your hair job is horrible. You need to go see my cousin. And your nails are dated in the 1970s, early 80s. Like, hello, go get some gel." Like, I could have totally ripped her a new one too, but I'm not like that. I was taught to hold your tongue. And so I may have thought it after she said all those evil things to me. I quickly realized that I can think something but not say it and hold my tongue, you know. Right. And I did. And I let him know that I didn't appreciate her response to me. And he said that he had corrected her and that she was sorry and that she didn't realize I spoke Spanish. And I said, I don't speak Spanish well enough to have a full-length conversation, but I know what she said, and I speak it enough to respond in the way that I did to let her know that I wasn't going to let her talk to me like that.
All right. So that was basically like your first heartbreak when it came to like his family and stuff like that. So the relationship continued, and when do you start seeing red flags from him?
I would say that when 2008 hit and when the economy took a shit to everybody, he had lost his job. He was suffering from sleep apnea, where he was falling asleep on the board. And he worked at a radio station, so you cannot have a second or two of dead air. Everything is money. So
the stress of everything, losing his job, not sleeping, do you believe kind of consumed him?
I believe it did. I think his health was deteriorating. I think that he was not putting his health right, because you have to have self-control in that. If you're working graveyard, you're working night shift, you're going to be eating healthy. You're going to be eating fruits and vegetables. You're going to be eating turkey and fish and lean meats and high water intake and vegetables, and taking your vitamins and doing your exercise if you're going to be working night shift, because it fucks with your circadian rhythm. You know, everybody has a body clock inside. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have your circadian rhythm set right, what happens is it gets shut off. Like you feel like a zombie. Yeah. You know, I have friends and family that maybe work a week or two and they had to do a swing shift and they feel like they're all drugged up because their body clock is all thrown off. And that's what he would complain to me. And I would tell him, then switch to day, go get a day job, go do a different type of job. It doesn't have to be in radio, but that was his passion. So then I would say, okay, well then if that's what you have to do, speak to the bigwigs and tell them my health is deteriorating. I need a day. And see, he was afraid to do that because he didn't feel like he had enough seniority. I'm like, why? Your coworker who just got hired and she was actually working in the back, you were in the front and you had a better role. She just got a job working in Riverside and now she's the on-air talent.
Yeah, but like, in that situation that he found himself in, I know he was looking for a job or that wasn't working for you. That's when he started showing you those red flags that kind of told you like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Showing me the red flags because his temper was quick.
And when was the first time he lost his temper during your relationship?
The first time he lost his temper was I had just purchased a cute little bistro table at Target. And it was enough for my daughter at the time, she was age 5, to sit at the table and have her breakfast and do some homework, her little sight words or her drawings. And the first time that him and I had got into it where he lost his temper, and I have a temper too, but not to the level that I'm going to break my shit that I just worked so hard on. Mm-hmm. He walked over to the kitchen table. He grabbed the chair and he stormed outside with the chair. And I'm looking at him like, fool, where the hell are you going? We live in El Sereno. This is a tough neighborhood. Like, what are you doing with the chair?
Yeah.
And he walked out to his driveway and he took the chair and he started slamming the chair as hard as he could on the side of the flagpole of not the flagpole, the telephone pole. And he literally broke the chair to the point that it was in splinters. Like you couldn't even tell it was a chair.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at it because it scared the hell out of me. And my daughter was 5 years old, so she was in the house and she didn't know.
She didn't see it. She didn't see it. Okay.
I would her from that.
Yeah, so before we move forward on this same question, prior to that, when you guys were dating, do you get to see any of those weird outbursts of anger?
Because if I had saw any of that, I would have dropped him like a bad habit. If I would have saw any of that, because you got to remember, without really getting into it, I came from a household where that kind of behavior would happen. Not all the time, but it would happen. And I would see my older sister, who I named my daughter after, protect us from that.
So you were already familiar with some of the signs already.
Oh, totally. And I mean, this is how sick it gets. Mm-hmm. Is while I was wearing my wedding dress, and there's the saying that the groom should never see the bride before the wedding. And maybe this was the moment that I realized, and I probably should have just said no and not married him, but I was pregnant. And I didn't marry him just because I was pregnant. But I was pregnant nonetheless. And
take your time.
My brother-in-law, who's like a brother to me, we were sitting in his Audi. It was a convertible Audi. And he looked at me and he said, I could floor it. And we can go. We can go.
I don't mean to interrupt, but we can hear you well. I guess the mic is against something. And we want to.
I said to him,
yes, because we want everybody to hear clearly.
Yeah,
so they know.
I got in the car. He had a really nice Audi. It was a convertible gray Audi. It was a roadster. It was so nice. And I got in the Audi because he was going to drive me up to the winery where I was getting married. We had a huge white tent. Everything was beautiful. The detail, my family did such a great job. And my brother-in-law looked at me and he said, Cindy, I've known you since you were a little girl, because my sister and my brother-in-law, I think they were junior high sweethearts or high school sweethearts. I remember him riding his 10 speed. That's all I got to say. Like everyone in our family knows that Margaret and Alfred had the perfect marriage and the perfect life. And they were the role models for us because they never fought. And if they did, we never saw it. And they were always happy. And they were always joyful. And they always had God in their heart because they're good people. They're actually Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a different religion. But they were good people. And they treated people kind. My brother-in-law, he was the type of man that he'd give your shirt off your back. You know, he would literally give his shirt off of his back to help someone. And my sister the same. And I named my daughter Margarita after my sister Margaret. And growing up, when, you know, there would be fights in my parents' household and things were getting a little out of control, she would get all of us and bring us into the room. And she'd hug us and she'd say, "It's going to be okay. It's almost over. It's okay." And she would calm me down. And I remember crying so hard that I would lose my breath.
So she was like that protective blanket. And in the same scenario,
it's funny that you say a protective blanket because I had one of those blankets. They would tease me about it because I had it up until actually I gave birth to my daughter.
Well, definitely protective blanket.
I remember having to throw it away and I was crying. And actually my husband, he's like, "You don't have to throw it away. You can keep it if you want to." And I said, "No, because I'm a mother and I need to grow up. I need to be a mom. I'm 20. I was 27 at the time. I was almost 30. And I ended up throwing it away. I threw it at the house in Chino Hills at my parents' house. And then the guy came and picked it up. And I was like, "No, it's mine."
So pretty much your sister was your protective blanket back then. And for what I understand, also doing your wedding, your brother-in-law was kind of giving you the same sort of protection, not really directly, if I understand right?
Yeah. I mean, they loved him. They loved him and they embraced him and they guided him. And
who, your ex-husband?
My brother-in-law and my sister guided my husband. They loved my husband. I mean, my whole family loved him.
And no one noticed anything? No one noticed any red flag that they share with you? We love him, we like him, but...
My grandmother noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter's Nina, who's my best friend.
What did they notice?
Nina is a godmother, just in case.
Oh. My daughter's Nina. She came to our house in El Sereno. And when she walked into the house, she realized that he wasn't doing anything to help because she knew I was working full time. So she expected at least the house to be straightened up as best as a guy could do.
Yeah.
And
just to take it down a little bit, like take it back a little bit. That was after the marriage. I just want to finish the part of your brother-in-law that he said that he could floor it. I'm curious about.
So my brother-in-law, it was actually on my wedding day, and we were in his Roadster, his Audi, and I was in my wedding dress, veil, everything, and I sat in the car. And I looked at him and I said, "Okay, I'm ready." And he said, "You know, Cindy, you don't have to do this. You don't have to marry him if you don't want to." And he says, "I know you're pregnant. We'll help you. Me and Margaret will help you. We'll help you raise her. And when you get on your feet and you do good and you want to move out, we'll help you then too." And I looked at him and I said, "But I love him." And he says, "Are you marrying him because you love him or are you marrying him because you're pregnant?" And I said, "I'm marrying him because I love him." And he said, "Okay, then we're doing this because if that's what you want."
Sorry. Do you believe that at that moment you were trying to convince yourself that that was the reason why, or that was really the reason why?
No, I mean, in that moment, I really did love him. I loved her father.
Everything was perfect during that time that you guys.
That whole time, everything was perfect. I mean, I was 23 when I met him. I was 27 when I was getting married. I mean, we were the it couple. We were the couple that people would look at and say, "Wow, they got their shit together," because we did. Like, I married a man who was ambitious and wanted what I wanted, and we were going to get it. And we were going to grind hard together to make it happen. And something happened. Something just snapped. And see, my grandmother warned me because I didn't understand that it could be him too. His father was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And if you know anything about mental health, which I didn't, I was very naive and I was very sheltered because I was the baby. And I'm not trying to blame my family. I'm not trying to blame my mom or my dad. My dad died when I was 16, so I didn't really have much guidance. And the guidance that I was trying to seek from my older sisters, they were busy raising their families. And so if I would call my sister and say, I need your help because I'm confused and I don't understand this and I need help. Sometimes she was busy because she had a job to do and she was busy and she had the stress and she had her kids and she had a boss and she had a...
Yeah, she has a whole thing going on.
I mean, as a nation, we are all responsible for not having enough knowledge on mental health.
Absolutely. And see, when her dad explained to me that his father was paranoid schizophrenic, manic depressant, but that it was manageable under medicine, I was okay with it because I thought, well, my dad had cancer, so how am I going to judge this man if my dad had cancer? You know, are you going to judge my dad because he was bald? Are you going to judge my dad because he was sick? Are you going to judge me because...
You were not sure what you were comparing it to.
Getting into? No, not at all. And
did he mention, I was a young girl. Sorry, did he mention anything regarding his mental health, or was he on any medication?
No. Her father was not on any type of medication. He did not have or suffer from any type of mental health. So I want to say that first and foremost, he did not have any of that. Signs, nothing. But as you know, and as I know now, as a 46-year-old, I don't want to add a digit if I don't have to. But as a 46-year-old woman, I know genetics are genetics. And I didn't understand how that would play in my life. And after I explained it to my sister and my mom and my grandmother, everybody said, well, he seems normal. He's fine. Like he's ambitious. He's outgoing. He's well-spoken. He's well-read. He has great manners. He's kind. He treats you well. You know, he treats himself well. Like we both were very great people together. And so no one said anything. And nor was I looking for a response because I was happy. I was elated. I was over the moon. I mean, I found the man I wanted to spend the rest of my life with and grow old.
Yeah. On that note, let's fast forward again to that first time that you see him lose his mind pretty much and smash, what was it? The chair on his driveway.
I was terrified. I was terrified because I knew and I recognized that anger because I was raised in that sometimes, not all the time, but it happened. And I was terrified because I thought to myself, what's to make that anger that he has turn on me or turn on my daughter? I knew I could handle it, or at least I thought I knew I could handle it if it was me. But I had fear and anxiety over if it was to my daughter, because that I would not be able to handle, nor would she, because she was so small. The day that it did turn to us.
Okay.
The day that it did turn to us was a moment in time I wish I could go back.
Wait, before you go into that part, what made you, even though you felt all these things, what made you continue with the relationship?
Because when I called him on his behavior, and when I told him that I don't like him behaving like that it's not right, that it's not something we want our daughter to see. I mean, we were the couple that would go in the car and discuss our issues. We listened to Disney music. We bought Camp Rock, Wizards of Waverly Place. She liked Hannah Montana. We were the Disney parents. We were the parents at her Montessori school that all the parents were like, hey, you're doing movie night? Hey, can you pick up our kid? And I was the crazy mom I had an SUV. I had a 3-row SUV Sequoia. And I would load up 8 of her friends in it. I mean, they all had a seatbelt. They all had a seat. They were all the height requirement, 60, I think it was 60 inches. And there we would go. And we would go watch the Chipmunks. Chipmunks was coming out, Christmas Chipmunks. Or I was the parent that would take them to the park, and we would play at the park and ride the swings and play on the merry-go-round. I was the parent that would get the other mothers and let's drive to Long Beach at Mother's Beach and let's have a day at the beach, you know. And
so was it that you didn't want to break that kind of community that you had?
I wasn't looking to break the family apart. I wasn't looking to walk away from a marriage because of one outburst. Okay. I was looking to save my marriage and to make sure my daughter had her father. I came from a dual parent household. And even though I saw things happen with my mother and father, I saw them work it out.
All right.
And those were beautiful things.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm asking because, you know, of course, when we're not going to throw our marriage away for one incident that, you know, that could be talked about, you know, that we could have a discussion about and we could fix our behavior. So absolutely. What happened next, though? And how long after the next, well, we'll say episode happened?
There had been a couple of other episodes where he would shove me and he would push me out of the kitchen, or he would twist my arm and put my arm behind my back, or he would shove me, or he would squeeze my arms so much that I'd have bruises on my arms. There was a couple of times where there was be name calling or things thrown. And when he would do that to me, I would just take it and I would just put up with it. But then I started not taking it and I started fighting back because I wasn't going to let him continue to do that. And I didn't want my daughter to see that you could just accept it. Mm-hmm. And so if he would throw something at me, I would throw it back. And I'm like, no, you're not going to throw shit at me and think that that's okay. So you want to fucking do that? Well, then here, let's go toe to toe, fucker. And that was scary because I would step out of myself for a moment and I would think, okay, I could go up against a 6'3" foot guy. And I'm 5'4". And yeah, I'm a big girl, but I'm not that strong. I like to think that I'm strong. I like to think that I'm tough.
But that was your way of fighting back.
Yeah. Until he fought harder. And so I knew to just be quiet and I knew just to let it go and not cause more problems because it would escalate. And when it would escalate, then the neighbor next door would call the cops.
Yeah, so it was getting that extreme and that loud that the neighbors was already like aware of what was happening.
Yeah. The neighbor next door is the one that actually called the cops when her dad threatened to cut my throat with a knife in front of our daughter.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for Mr. Leon, I don't think I'd be alive. And I don't think my daughter would have a mother. And so I'm very grateful for Mr. Leon for getting involved and not just ignoring it and seeing the signs and seeing the arguments escalate. Because without him, I don't think I'd be here.
And that takes a lot. It takes a lot because it sounds like it wasn't the first time they had called the police over. So it's something that they were, in a way, kind of getting used to hearing and seeing. And they didn't give up on not trying to help you.
Yeah, no. He was such a good man. And he would always praise Maggie. And like when we'd go to like her open house for school and we'd come home and he would ask me because he had grandchildren that also went to the neighborhood that we went to school in because he would notice, when we'd come home and he also had his grandchildren that went to the school and he would ask for, how did my daughter do with school? And so Maggie would proudly go and show him. He was kind of like an uncle in the neighborhood, like, look, I did good, and she'd show her report card. And but she was so little, so like she wouldn't get A's and B's in Montessori school. They call it like E's for excellent, know. So she would show her report card to him and say, look, Mr. Leon, I got an E for excellent. I'm excellent. And he would say, oh, Maggie, hold on. And he'd run in the house and he'd come with like a box of cookies and he'd always give her something, to motivate her.
thanks to Mr. Leon, you guys were able to pretty much see it, like what was damaging, what was actually happening within your family, like what was the impact of that phone call? Pretty much, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
the impact of that phone call was him saving us.
And the second part to that would be like, did anyone in your family notice you different throughout? How long does this abuse
took place?
You know, how long was it? Like, how long did it last from the time it started until the last day?
I was really, really good at hiding it. I was really, really good at posting on Facebook like everything was normal. I was really, really good at keeping a front and protecting my daughter because I didn't want her to have that shame. And I didn't want people gossiping. I didn't want our friends at the school or her teachers.
You were being strong
from the neighborhood. Yeah, I didn't really want that out there. You know, I wasn't ready for it mentally to process it. And so I kept it. I just try to keep everything normal.
So no one in your family noticed ever?
My mom did, because I let my mom know what was going on. And because my mother had also experienced things with my father, you know, she would ask me, like, are you ready to leave him? And I would say no. And my stepdad, he actually offered money, and he offered for us to come and live with him. And he said, I'll send you a plane ticket and I'll help you raise Maggie. And I bursted into tears, and I told my stepdad, I said, why are you offering that? You should be encouraging me to keep my marriage going. And he said, I'm afraid that one of these days you're going to call your mother. And you're not going to be there. My stepdad was my dad.
Yeah. He was able to see what was really going on.
And
because he saw that I wasn't happy. He saw, he saw that I wasn't happy, and he saw that I had changed. Like, you know, he lived with us, and when I lived in Chino Hills, and he was there at the house when I was pregnant, and he saw my personality change, where like I've always been a happy person, like my mom. Like, it doesn't matter if I get in a little argument with my 18-year-old and we're fighting over,
you bounce right back.
Who had, like, hey, you ate the last slice of cheesecake, you know, like something silly, or you know, why didn't you change the litter box, you know?
And as much as you try to hide it by still, you know, putting this persona that you were okay, it still kind of showed in a way.
Yeah, it showed because my stepdad, he's raised me. My stepdad was the coolest stepdad. He would like go and get my truck, and he'd wax it and wash it and armor all it and get it all beautiful. And he even bought like that cherry spray that I loved, and he'd get it ready because he's like, Mija, I know that you're going to be going cruising with your friends. We'd go up and down Whittier Boulevard in my dad's truck, and, you know, we loved to go dancing. And so, you know, me and my girlfriends, we would go to the Dome in Hollywood or Florentine Gardens or the Palace. You know, we were always going to clubs and having fun and living our lives. We were 18, 19, 20, you know, that's the time to do it.
So he knew you very well. He knew that something was definitely wrong. Now,
my stepdad was a really good stepdad. Yeah.
On that same road, you know, kudos to your stepdad. And they don't get the praise that they deserve sometimes.
No, they don't. They don't.
And going back to that phone call that your neighbor made to the police.
That last phone call.
How did that impacted you? Like, what actually clicked?
Unless you want to get into what happened that night.
Yes.
Well, I mean, what happened was I had, around that time, I had been working out really hard because I had just had a surgery, and I was working out, and I had a trainer, and I'd go to the park, and I was really serious about it because I wanted to see results. And it was the first time in my life that I actually had the courage to try to do something about my physicality. And I started to really just embrace the fact that if I really wanted to lose weight and I wanted to get down and like look a certain way, I could do it. And so it was like mind over matter. And so I started working out, going to the gym. I was going to the park. I was getting personal training and I was doing good. And like, I mean, in 1 month, I probably dropped like, I don't know, 25 pounds. And then the next month I dropped another 15 pounds. And I was like, I'm gaining muscle. Like I was starting to look good. Like the dudes in the neighborhood were like, hey, how you doing? I was like, how you doing, boo? You know, like it was like I was getting those. I mean, it would be like Instagram likes. It was that then, right? And
of course, he also noticed that. He noticed your change. You were happier. You felt better about yourself. Your self-esteem was higher. So he
totally
also noticed that.
Yeah, he noticed it, but in the wrong way. And we were hiking, like he was doing it with me. And we all were as a family, like Maggie, me, and him. We would go hiking in Eden Canyon. We would go hiking in Montecito Heights. We'd go walking and hiking in Whittier. You know, we were on adventure together. We'd go. I loved to go to the beach. He loved to go to the beach. You know, we'd go walk at the beach. We'd go swim at the beach. We were trying to be more physical, you know, physically active. And all of us were showing improvement and doing well. And what happened is I had came home one day from work, and I was working for Ralph Lauren at the time. So I was in Thousand Oaks, and I had just gotten home, and it was probably around 4:45. And I told him, I said, listen, I have about 15 minutes. I called him from my phone. I said, I have about 15 minutes to come home. I want to eat a little bit of yogurt with some blueberries and just a quick little drizzle of honey because I needed some protein. And everybody knows if you're eating organic yogurt plain, it don't taste that good. So I like a little bit of blueberries, a little bit of honey to sweeten it up.
Yeah.
And, you know, the yogurt had good about 6-7 grams of protein. So I was like, that's enough for me to like work out and sustain the energy that I need. And so I ate some real quick, and I had called him and asked if he could put a bowl in for me. And so when I got home, I saw the bowl sitting on the counter, and I said, did you do this? I said, is this for me or is this yours? He says, no, that's yours. And I said, a little drizzle of honey. I said, babe, you put like a big old chingo amount of honey. I can't eat all of that. I said, the whole point is like for me to not get diabetes. The whole point is for me to eat healthy. I said, I can't eat that. And I just simply made a comment. And I thought, okay, let's get the cuchara and let's just take, you know, the top of it off and throw it down the sink, or hell, save it for later. He got so mad at me for saying that there was too much honey in there and that I was afraid that I was going to get diabetes from it, that he grabbed the bowl and he threw it across the kitchen, and literally there was yogurt splattered all over the wall. And I was shocked at his response. And I said, what are you doing? Why are you behaving like this? Like, really, like, is this necessary? Like, really? And I was shocked at his response. And then all of a sudden, my daughter came out of her bedroom and she said, Mommy, I'm hungry. I said, baby, you're hungry? What would you like? And I said, do you want a bean and cheese burrito? And she says, yeah, that sounds good. And I said, well, did you eat breakfast already? Because, you know, it was summertime. So I figured kids like to sleep in, you know, about 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I figured she probably had cereal or something, bananas or oatmeal or something. And so I said, baby, did you eat breakfast? And she says, I made myself some cereal. I said, you made yourself some cereal? You're a big girl. You made yourself some cereal by yourself? And she said, yes, Mommy, I made myself cereal by myself. And I said, wow. I said, you're a big girl. I said, where was your dad? Because that's what I got out of it, is that she got up 10, 11 o'clock, and that little 5-year-old got the chair, went up and got a bowl, went up and got her cereal, went up and got her banana, and she took care of herself. And so my response to her was, where was your dad? And she says, Dad was busy working on the computer because he was looking for work. The man was looking for work for 6 years. Let's just say that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
6 of our 10 years, I was supporting us. Now, granted, we were living at my suegro's house, but that was supposed to be temporary. And I blinked, and I thought a year or 2 at the most, and it turned into her being 10 years old.
So that's when It started it was 6 years of like
it was around the age of 5 and 6 years old. I would say.
We lost.
Hold on real quick.
No, we're good.
Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry about that. I hit the thing and it went away. Sorry about that. So yeah, it flipped. So what happened was around the age of 5 or 6, my daughter went and got her cereal. It was actually 2012 because I remember the year. And when I walked into the kitchen and I saw that she had had her cereal and she was hungry, she wanted lunch. So I said, do you want a bean and cheese burrito? She said, yes. So I turned to her father and I said, do you mind getting her a bean and cheese burrito? There's a container of beans that I've already made because in my household, there's always a pot of beans in the house.
Yeah.
And I said, all you got to do is warm up a tortilla real quick and fold it up for her with some cheese. And he says, yeah, I'll take care of it. And I said, okay, great. Thank you. Because then I'm not running late because I'm supposed to meet my trainer at 5 o'clock. And it was 4:45. I'm sorry, 4:45. So I went into the bedroom because I wanted to braid my hair because I'm going to work out. I need to braid it and pull it back. And I was looking for the hairspray. And so I braided my hair, put a rubber band in it, and I went to spray hairspray in my hair. And as I was looking in the mirror, which was in the hallway right by the countertop of the kitchen, he was cooking the tortilla and warming up the beans. And I just said one wrong thing that set him off. And he turned and he looked at me and he said, what did you just say? And he grabbed the tortilla and it had been burning on the grill, on the comal, and it was straight flame. So he got the tortilla and he threw it like a damn frisbee and it hit me on the head. And I had just sprayed hairspray, so this portion of my hair got singed. Oh, and my daughter comes running out and she starts patting my hair. My 5-year-old, 6-year-old starts patting my hair and said, Mommy, Mommy, because she saw what her dad had just done. That's when here it snapped. It snapped because I had made a promise to myself that I would never let my daughter see something like that because I had been raised that way. I mean, the abuse was probably off and on about 5 years because this was around the age of 5 and then 6. And I didn't leave him until she was. And so 5 years of off and on. Wow. And I'm not going to just sit here and act like I'm the saint. I mean, I'm not.
Of course.
It goes both ways and things escalate very quickly. And I have a temper too. And so I'm not going to sit here and act like I was innocent because it takes 2 to tango. Now, I would never hit him with my fist closed because if I did, he'd probably hit me back and I'd be on the floor knocked out. But if he was throwing things at me, I'd throw it back because I wasn't going to just let him do that to me and disrespect me and not defend myself. But did I ever break a chair the way he did? No. Did I ever grab my father's cast iron stove or pan and slam it against the stove to the point that the metal breaks and bends? No, I never did that. Did I ever punch my fist through the wall and now there's an impression of my fist in the door? No, I didn't do that. Did I ever kick the door down so much that my foot went through the door? No.
That same night that the incident happened, they threw the tortilla at you. What happened after that?
So you said that was what clicked in your head, and you said that was it because you promised yourself that you were never going to let your daughter see that. So that was the night that you made the decision of leaving for good.
Can you reference the tortilla is what you're talking about?
Yeah, the tortilla part. So
yeah, when that motherfucker threw that fucking tortilla at my head, instead of eating it, and he wasted food, and I'm Cali girl, oh hell no, come on man, you don't do that. Listen, look, my father always taught us that you respect food because not many people are fortunate to have it. But on the serious, when it caught on fire and all I could picture, I'm a girl from, born in 1974. So I was raised in the 80s. all I could picture was Michael Jackson. And I'm like, my hair's going to go up. And I'm like, oh no, like, like no amount of makeup and you know, Snapchat filters are going to help me after that. This was back in AOL. If Snapchat filters didn't even exist. So
no.
I was like, I'm just going to be ugly. You's ugly. And I don't want to be ugly. That's when it snapped in my head. And it made me realize that if I continue to stay in this, my daughter is going to be 5 years old with the memory of putting out the little red embers on my forehead. And I had a little scar that went away. But I realized that I am responsible in what is being programmed in her. Just like my parents were responsible in what they did to me and what they didn't protect me from and who they didn't protect me from. And I'll be damned, as God is my witness, that I will be that, because God blessed me with my daughter and she is looking to me to be that person as her advocate. And so whether it's me having to be mom and dad, she wasn't allowed to date. And now that she's a college student, I told her, when you're in college, you get a date. Well, now we're in fucking COVID. And she's like, Mom, who the hell am I going to date? Everything's online. And I'm like, well, hey, that's kind of how I met your dad. But don't do that. Don't do that. You just wait. You just wait, honey. Wait. Good things come to those who wait. And yes, to answer your question, that was the moment that I realized that my daughter was worth more. And I had made a promise before I brought her into this world that I was not going to subject her to those things, because she's a child. She's this beautiful angel from God, and she doesn't deserve to have that. And she wasn't going to have that, not on my watch.
One of the last few questions would be, how do you feel after ending the relationship with your ex-husband? How did it make you feel as a person, as a woman, going through all that, all those years, having your daughter witness that one episode and, finally saying bye and putting it behind you? How did it make you feel?
I felt empowered that I was able to teach my daughter in that moment that when someone disrespects you like that you walk away. And that you don't look back. Okay. You can forgive the person. You could forgive even the behavior. You can pray for them, because the Lord prayer says to pray for their enemy. And not that her father is her enemy by any means, because I would never teach my daughter that. I never disrespect my daughter's father with words or comments or anything, because that's half of her. And without him, I wouldn't have her. So how am I going to go and talk bad about him and then shame her for her situation with her dad? She didn't choose him. Hell, she didn't even choose me. Okay. God did. So me walking away, what I gained from that and what I hope she gained from that is that she realizes that if she's ever in that situation, she is not ever going to put up with that. And with a mom like me, there's no way in hell that my daughter will ever, ever go through that. So all you boys out there, you got me to deal with. And let me tell you.
Okay. And the last question would be, if you were to give someone that was in your same situation that you were before an advice, what would it be?
It would be to very much keep aware of what is going on. If you have to have a book of the good and the bad and make a list of what is good and what is bad so you can see it and witness and understand these are the qualities that this person has that are good and these are the qualities that are bad. And if there's more good than bad, then keep at it. But if there's more bad than good, what are you doing? Because if you are in a situation where all you are is crying at night over this dumb boy and he's making you feel like shit, well, then what are you doing, sis? Do you know how many boys are out there? And especially now with OkCupid. Hello, okay. Okay. And with all of the other, apps that are out there, Christian app, I mean, for me, at least, if I was going to be looking, it's going to be that. But I need to have someone who's like-minded and who is a grinder like me and who puts God first and who puts family first and who's going to put me first. Because if they're not going to put me first, then what the hell am I doing? What am I wasting my time? Because I have to remember I'm teaching my daughter how to be treated. And if they're not going to be man enough to claim me and want me and be with me, well, then what am I doing?
Yeah.
Do you have any resources that you would like to share for
Yes.
any female or any person going through domestic violence in the California area?
I will, and I do. I would like to just speak on behalf of the community of Boyle Heights, East LA, and El Sereno, and any area that's covered by the Hollenbeck Division. Two things that I want to say. One, the sergeant that's there is an amazing sergeant that has empathy, that has apathy, kindness, and understanding. Because the day that I went there to file a report after her dad was arrested and taken away in handcuffs, after threatening me with my life and cutting it and ending it, and my poor baby girl had to witness all of that and was questioned and had to give her side and I had to give mine. Later, when I went to file a restraining order, the sergeant there was very kind in giving me his testimony because, like women suffering, men do too. And it's not okay for women to do it to men. And it's not okay for women, for men to do it to women. It goes both ways, like I said. And so the last thing I would like to end it with is that if you live in LA County, you can seek help. The Department of Social Services has help for you. And there is a women's shelter that you can go to. There's a hotline number that you can call, and you can get the help that you need. But at any local police department, you can go in and you can ask for help, and they have services for you. So that's pretty much what I'd like to say for anyone who is going through something like I went through, that you don't have to be ashamed and you don't have to put a front. You don't have to make your Facebook and your Instagram look like everything's okay, honey, because you know what? It's not. One of the best things that I've done for myself in part of my recovery and self-love was going to therapy. And I was in therapy. I was in therapy for over a year. I had about maybe 6 sessions before COVID came. And currently I go to a spiritual healer. I've been doing the homeopathic way because it's the way that I feel that resonates with me the most. And then also I've been healing with prayer. I go to church. I go to 2 churches, actually. I go to All Souls in Alhambra, but right now with COVID, it's not open. And so one of the churches that I'd like to give a shout out because it's really been filling me with joy since March that we've been under quarantine is Faith Community. I physically have gone to the church probably 2 or 3 times. And every time I've been invited to go, I just feel so much joy and love. But they have online. So for those of you who want to be filled with the word and have spirit come to you, it's a beautiful thing to listen to. And it's only an hour. It's quick. And they have like 3 different, they have one early if you want to go at 7:30. They have one at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. They have it all day. I just feel like this weight that comes off my shoulders. If any of you go to church and you listen to it, and after you're done, like you feel pumped, you feel ready for the week, and you feel good, and you feel grounded, and you feel like, you know what? God's got my back. I'm good.
No, and that's a good advice. You first search for help, and you're in that situation. And after you find help, you need to start the healing process.
Yeah, working on yourself.
And that's what I'm about right now. Because I'll tell you, this food blog, some of my friends are like, are you sure you should be doing this? COVID. And I'm like, look, I got my mask, I got my gloves, I'm out there, and I got my hand sanitizer, I'm doing my thing. But I truly feel that this is a calling because, like I said on another fellow podcast show that I was on, shout out to them. They know who they are. What I love about our culture is that you have
don't fear. You can say the name. Say the name.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna give my shout out to my girl, Miss Cass and Miss Kitty at Lady Instinct Podcast.
Lady Instinct.
I love them. And on Mondays, today's Monday is my favorite day because it's Monday Madness.
Yeah.
And I love their show. It's so much fun. And it's very sexual. It's very woman empowerment. It's very Cali Girl Eats Girl. Let me tell you, it is. If your wife has not listened to,
those are our friends. So we.
Oh, okay. Well, they're my friends too. So yeah, I love them to death, and they just bring me so much joy, and it's so nice to have that outlet, And so it is the foodie world, the podcast world. It's like a community, and it's been very welcoming and very heartfelt. And I've tried to be as transparent as I can be with myself and speak my truth and own my shit too, because like I'm a human being and I am not perfect. I think we all can admit to like some bullshit that we have in us and that we realize, hey, wait, that probably wasn't the best way to behave or how to act or how to treat people. And I think that's part of healing is that you grow, you learn. I mean, my daughter always says, Mom, I'm only 18. And it's like, well, I'm only 46 and I'm still learning and growing, And I think part of recognizing those triggers within yourself and also the triggers in others and to de-escalate things when it happens. And like
Mother Bear took good care of her daughter and then raised a awesome young lady that is going to achieve big things later on in life.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Amen. Now we have to conclude, unfortunately.
Yes, it was great.
Thank you.
Talking to you. I know this is the second time we speak, but it was a pleasure the first time and this time. And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for sharing your story because it could help other people. It could help other females that, that could be or in the same situation that you were. So thank you so much for, no sé cómo se dice, tener la valentía.
For your bravery.
Thank you. I really, I told a friend today that I needed to be brave and do this. And I said, as scared as I was, as nervous as I was, as much anxiety, and I'm really proud of myself. I haven't had any alcohol, and I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a big drinker at all. But my nerves were shot today, and I was nervous with my friend and my daughter as well. And my daughter said, Mom, it's just a Zoom call. Relax. They could edit it. And I said, I know, Mia, but it's just the subject that we're talking about. I haven't really spoken about your dad this way. And I don't want to disrespect him because I know he's grown and he's changed and he's evolved from the person that he was then. And I would hope that his mom has as well, which that's to be determined.
No, but we do thank you for your bravery. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for pretty much guiding yourself and your daughter to the right path and actually achieving the things that you guys have achieved together. And there's way more to come.
We've had a lot of haters. Let me tell you.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. And people gonna talk shit. And I told my daughter, it could be friends, it could be family. Not my family, but it could be others people's family that are gonna just talk shit. And that's okay. You just leave them in the dust. And you don't talk about it. You be about it. And you show them. And I always taught her that Ralph Lauren, we used to always say, teach me, watch me, show me. Because this is your world and it's yours. And even though we're in this pandemic, this is going to go away. The scientists are working on a cure right now. And right now it's about our grace and our dignity and our drive. Have your grit, your ganas. Don't let anyone take that from you.
Yep. And we're going to wrap it up with on that high note.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Cindy. Everybody follow Cindy at Cali Girl Eats and Instagram.
CaliGirlEats.com Instagram rather, not .com. I was going back to my
Cali Girl
MySpace days. Just kidding.
So a little search. Go to the search bar. Type Cali Girl Eats, and you're gonna find her.
We're gonna tag.
Okay.
Her. You're gonna find.
Yeah. So it's the @ symbol, and then it's Cali CALI_Girl Eats.
Here we go, and we're gonna share that in the description of the podcast as well, so you can find her, and of course some of the resources we have found on domestic violence. Miss Elaine, you want to say goodbye to the listeners?
That'll be all. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Please share this very important interview that we had with Cindy. Please share that because this is very important for other people that may be going through the situation.
And thank you so much, Cindy, again.
God bless you guys for giving me this time and the platform to express myself and for me to grow and be brave. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys. Later.
Bye. Later. Bye.
Hey guys, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at OhCupid the Podcast.